In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. Pranam and a very good morning to one and all. I, Chetna Patnaik,
And I, Rakesh Kumar Sahu,
Civil Judges Junior Division on probation, on behalf of the Odisha Judicial Academy, extend our warm welcome to one and all to this Judicial Colloquium on human trafficking, organized by the Odisha Judicial Academy in collaboration with the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, and the International Justice Mission. Today's colloquium has been organized with a view to sensitize the various stakeholders about the issues concerning human trafficking and the means and ways to combat it. Today, we are fortunate to have with us Honorable Mr. Justice Subhashish Talapatra, Chief Justice, High Court of Orissa, and Patron-in-Chief, Orissa Judicial Academy, and the Honorable Judges of the High Court of Orissa, who have spared their valuable time to be amongst us here today.
on this momentous occasion, we also have with us Honorable Dr. Justice Durga Prasanna Chaudhary, former Judge, High Court of Orissa, esteemed Mr. Daniel Ajay Varghese, Vice President, International Justice Mission, South Asia, and other office bearers of International Justice Mission, respected Registrar General and officers of Registry of the High Court of Orissa, resource persons, and invited guests. Most importantly, we have in the auditorium as participants judicial officers in the cadre of District Judge, Civil Judge Junior Division, public prosecutors, and nodal officers of the Police Department dealing with human trafficking cases in Crime Against Women and Children Wing. This program is also available in the YouTube channel of High Court of Orissa, where we are virtually joined by judicial officers across the state. Now, I humbly request Honorable Mr. Justice Subhashish Talpatra, Chief Justice, High Court of Orissa, and Patron-in-Chief, Odisha Judicial Academy, to kindly adorn the dais. And I request Shri Badri Narayan Nanda, respected Director in Charge, Odisha Judicial Academy, to kindly conduct his lordship to the dais.
Thank you, sir. I would now humbly request Honorable Dr. Justice Sanjeev Kumar Panigrahi, Judge, High Court of Odisha, and member Odisha Judicial Academy and Training Committee to kindly adorn the dais. And I request respected Registrar Inspection, High Court of Odisha, to kindly conduct his lordship to the dais.
I now humbly request Mr. Daniel Ajay Varghese, Vice President, International Justice Mission, South Asia, to kindly adorn the dais, and I request respected Coordinator Arbitration Center to kindly conduct Sir to the dais.
May I now seek permission of the Honorable Chair to declare the colloquium open. Thank you, my Lord. The colloquium is now declared open. We are fortunate today to have amongst us Honorable Dr. Justice Sanjeev Kumar Panigrahi, Judge, High Court of Orissa, and member Orissa Judicial Academy and Training Committee. May I kindly request your Lordship to please deliver the welcome address. My Lord, please.
Good evening, everybody. Our esteemed Chief Justice, Justice Subhashish Talapatra, all my brother judges present here, Mr. Ajay Varghese, Daniel Ajay Varghese, Senior Regional Vice President, International Justice Mission, then Mr. Raj Kumar, and other invited guests present here, all the delegates who are here present. Very good morning to everyone joining us today through virtual mode. I assure you that this conference will prove to be fruitful and informative for all the members participating in the conference. I'm grateful to all the speakers who are present today for joining and sparing their valuable time to be amongst us. The topic of today's discussion is, is a very important and intriguing one, as much as it's a major cause of concern for the humanity, for the globe. Human trafficking is a crime of exploitation of persons for compelling them to labor, for service, or for commercial sexual act. Has no place in the society that values freedom and the rule of law. Nonetheless, it exists. It's a very important problem throughout, a very important problem to be combated throughout the world. Every part of the globe is struggling to end this menace. And if I give the statistics globally, an estimated 2.49 crore people are subjected to human trafficking, which generates an estimated 150 billion, whooping 150 billion dollars annually as an illicit income from these sources. Of the individuals trafficked each year, 17% are trafficked for the purpose of forced labor, while 80% are trafficked for sexual exploitation. Children, women, migrants, refugee, and internally displaced people are the most vulnerable group of this menace. Human trafficking is a stain on our society's concerns and an affront to the ideals that form the basis of our nation. It is an affront to liberty, justice, equality, and opportunity of the citizen. The most important aspect of this problem is that it grows in an environment where we find there is either regulatory deficit or there is a legislative deficit. And if these two are there, then there is implementation deficit. So these deficits are to be addressed through this kind of colloquium. What are the problems we are facing globally? And also it requires for international cooperation. A single country cannot combat this because this is an international phenomenon. There is a cross-border issue involved. So there is a requirement of the assistance among the countries. They have mutual assistance is required, and then only they can combat it properly. These break down further. There are certain areas where we find frequent breakdown of the law and order issues and the issues that is pervading in this area. So those things are to be addressed regularly. So that's why I say this is not a regional or local threat. It is a threat to the globe. Entire globe is struggling hard to combat with this kind of menace. So the purpose of this today's colloquium is capacity building, because we know there are people, many stakeholders in this area who are working here, but there are a lot of skill is required to be imbibed in them, so that's what the capacity building is one of the most important objective of this colloquium. The second is the advocacy. Those who are working in this area also, the advocacy is also very important issue, because it is intricately linked to the judiciary. Because once the person is arrested or a person is brought to the justice system, so that automatically he has to come to the court. So advocacy is also very important. And the more importantly, greater awareness among the public through the civil society. Many of you may be representing the civil society. And so these three, the three objectives are behind this colloquium. and hope we will achieve the objectives by organizing such colloquiums today and also in future. At the end, I'd like to quote Barack Obama, the former president of the United States of America. He says, "It ought to concern every person because it is debasement of our common humanity. It ought to concern every community because it treats at our social fabric. It ought to concern every business because it distorts markets. It ought to concern every nation because it endangers public health and fuels violence and organized crime. I am talking about the injustice, the outrage of human trafficking, which must be called by its true name, modern slavery." Thank you.
Thank you, my lord, for that very warm welcome address. Today, we are honored to have amongst us Mr. Daniel Ajay Varghese, Vice President, International Justice Mission, South Asia. The International Justice Mission works in different states of the country for combating human trafficking and has collaborated with us, Odisha Judicial Academy, in organizing today's colloquium. May I now request Mr. Daniel Ajay Varghese to kindly enlighten us on the scope and object of today's colloquium. Sir, please.
Honorable Justice Subhashis Talapatra, Honorable Chief Justice of Odisha and Patron Chief, Odisha Judicial Academy, Honorable Dr. Justice S.K. Panagri, Judge, High Court of Orissa and member, Odisha Judicial Academy, Sri Badrinarayan Nanda, Sir, Director in Charge, Odisha Judicial Academy, all the judicial distinguished participants, judicial officers, police officers, officials from the Labor Department, assistant public prosecutors, colleagues from International Justice Mission and other organizations. On behalf of my colleagues at International Justice Mission and our esteemed partners, both in Odisha and other parts of the country, I want to acknowledge the privilege that we have to be part of this workshop and to share notes on the common and interconnected concerns on the critical issues of unsafe migration, bonded labor, and human trafficking. This workshop is the result of a convergence of minds where multiple stakeholders have contributed along the way. I also respectfully acknowledge that we stand on the shoulders of giants who have worked before us, even as we seek to discharge our responsibility in our time. Some of us know the Venerable Dr. Lakshmidhar Mishraji, now retired government official who started his government service in the state of Odisha and continues to use his time in his senior years to speak against all forms of violation and violence. In one of his books, he makes the statement, "The price of freedom is eternal vigilance." The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Workshops like this are a visible reminder that our society and its systems remain eternally vigilant. A few words about International Justice Mission. We work in over 25 countries, consulting and collaborating with local governments and justice systems to address issues of everyday violence, human trafficking, widow land theft, child sexual exploitation, online sexual assault are some of the crimes that we build out solutions and products for. In India, our focus for the last decade and more has been human trafficking of minors for sex and the vulnerable poor for various forms of forced labor. In the words of our founder, Gary Haugen, in his book, The Locust Effect, Unless we are safe, nothing else matters. All of us understand this intuitively. While safety is a concern for all of us, it is the poor who are particularly vulnerable, and it is only the public and the criminal justice systems in the country that can propose to guarantee that safety. In the state of Odisha, over more than a decade, we've had the privilege of working closely with state governments alongside our partners to see the change that is happening in the state and through the state. We are grateful to be in partnerships with organizations working in the state and to learn from them even while collaborating with them. You've seen the police and the judiciary initiate action on human trafficking and unsafe migration, and civil society is supporting the process. Today, I'm sure we will hear more details about what is happening and what more can be done. In the year 2013, exactly 10 years ago, I was introduced to a survivor of human trafficking. I remember her face and her posture. I thought she was about 50 years old, but I learned later that she was less than 25. She was trafficked at an early age from Punjab and transported to different parts of North India and was abused in various ways. And the psychological and the physical trauma showed on her face and on her body. But what struck me was that she had lost about 10 to 15 years of her life, which she would never get back again. That loss of potential in her life, in the life of her family, and in the life of her state and country is perhaps one of the biggest casualties of crimes which involve captivity and loss of freedoms. We can only multiply that life by thousands and millions to imagine and calculate the loss of potential for a country like ours, which is developing fast, and we need every human potential to be at the service of that development. That story had a happy ending. Today, she is married, has children, and is thriving with a family that loves her and cares for her only because government officials in her state decided to take lead to rescue and restore her back to safety. We are gathered here so that not only will there be more such happy endings, but also so that the state and its justice systems would protect the vulnerable. And so there would be fewer and fewer such sad stories to start with. We often say that bonded labor or trafficking for labor or sex used to be a social evil, which went on to become a socioeconomic crime, which is now organized crime. The additional challenge in our country is that all forms of this exist simultaneously in different parts of our land. Today, with this August gathering, specifically for the state of Odisha, we can confidently look forward to all of us contributing and leading to the way through our diverse experiences, various forms of expertise that is available, and leadership to address these forms of everyday violence that especially the poor in our country have to endure. The central government of India, through the Minister of Labor and Employment in the year 2016, released a plan, a 15-year plan. They called it Vision 2030 to end all forms of bonded labor and human trafficking. I believe that today's workshop is one more building block to see that vision realized. Thank you very much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us. As a mark of our heartfelt gratitude and respect for the gracious presence of the esteemed dignitaries amongst us today, may I now request Honorable Dr. Justice Sanjeev Kumar Panigrahi, Judge, High Court of Orissa, and member, Orissa Judicial Academy and Training Committee, to kindly felicitate Honorable Mr. Justice Shubhashish Talpatra, Honorable the Chief Justice, High Court of Orissa, and Patron-in-Chief, Orissa Judicial Academy, with a token of appreciation on behalf of the Orissa Judicial Academy. Thank you, my lord.
May I now humbly request Shri Badrinarayan Nanda, esteemed Director in Charge, Odisha Judicial Academy, to kindly felicitate Mr. Daniel Ajay Varghese, Vice President, International Justice Mission, South Asia, as a token of appreciation on behalf of Odisha Judicial Academy. Thank you, sir. In the words of Mr. Barack Obama, former President of United States of America, change will not come unless we bring about the change ourselves. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. May I now humbly request Honorable Mr. Justice Subhashish Talpatra, Chief Justice, High Court of Orissa, and Patron-in-Chief, Odisha Judicial Academy, to kindly deliver the inaugural message to this august gathering. My Lord, please.
Greetings to all, and it's a warm good morning. This is a very unique program that we are all assembled today to discuss, and I believe this platform will be effectively used. My colleague, Justice Dr. Sanjeev Panigrahi, is a scholar and the member of the Odisha Judicial Academy, and his keen interest in various social issues is really sometimes amazed me after the hard work as a judge. How can he continue this kind of work? I believe it is his commitment to make a change in the society. I really congratulate him in this occasion. I also address the international justice missions, these executives and the activist, is a better word to say the activist, Mr. Daniel Ajay Varghese, the Senior Regional Vice President of the International Justice Mission. And I'm hearing about them for quite a few days. And finally, they have organized this workshop on this trafficking. I just want moral or immoral. I have not said, I'm saying the trafficking. And my other esteemed brothers who are there with the dais, they're also the pillars of this institution we call the Odisha High Court and Odisha Judicial Academy. I have an immense gratitude to them, the way they are organizing the programs. Also, I would like to express my gratitude. Those who will participate in the technical sessions, Mr. C. Rajkumar, an advocate from the Madras High Court, Dr. Justice D.P. Chaudhary, and Mr. Sajid Fili, this State Program Director, IJM Orissa. I'll be also failing if I do not mention the name of the two patrons, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and in particular the International Justice Mission. I have a little difficulty. Difficulty is that what was very correct in 1979, when this Interstate Migrant Workmen Regulation of Employment and Condition of Service Act 1979 was brought, the phenomenal change has been there, but we have not visited that act anymore. To begin with, I think this very disturbing and distressing, the visuals that we have seen during the pandemic, that the thousands of migrant laborers are traveling back to their places. And when they're traveling back to the places, there are not people to welcome them. That is the kind of helplessness actually was concealed so far in our social history. And certain time this pandemic has opened the lid. This state of Orissa has a particular mention in the statement of object and reasons of this Interstate Migrant Workmen Regulation of Employment and Condition of Service Act 1979. The history of migration of labor during the colonial regime, Orissa was as the soft belly for just migrating the laborers throughout the eastern India, a part of the southern India. In the northeast part, I come from a northeast state. In Assam, all the tea gardens were just filled with the migrant laborers from this state, and they never came back to their state again. Because they cannot also, because this is a kind of a environment that has been created. Once you enter in that system, you lose your freedom to come back to your own place. Just a little bit reference, just to recall us. I believe all have a very great heart, and that is why you have assembled here today to discuss all these issues. There's a statement and object of reasons of this Act of 1979 that I have referred. It starts with the system of employment in interstate migrant labor, known in Orissa as Dadon labor, is an exploitative system prevalent in Orissa and in some other states. In Orissa, Dadon labor is recruited from the various parts of the state through contractors and agents called sardars, khatadars, for work outside the state in large construction projects. That is a limitation of the observation, because the construction project is only the minimal part of this, the migration. But they mostly work in the tea gardens, plantations, the big manufacturing units where the hard labor is required. It is a progressive step, definitely, no doubt, in 1979. But problem myself as a student of law, I find the definition of the migrant workers has been narrowed down to interstate migrant workmen. As a citizen of the country, I ask myself, what about the other migrant workers? And that, because I will be just giving you a comparative observation. The interstate migrant workers means any person who is recruited by or through a contractor or state under an agreement or other arrangement for employment in an establishment in any other state, whether with or without the knowledge of the principal employer in relation to such establishment. So those will get the benefits of the Act. Those who were recruited or taken to the other states under an agreement, these khatadars and shordars, they are to be made responsible for that. Even some displacement allowance has been declared. But now, with the change of time, these people have become also intelligent, because they are the traders of the human labor. They do not now, under contract, take anyone to the outside states. They have their own organizations spread over these all states, and individual worker in search of this food safety, they just migrate to that state, and you cannot call them, they will come under this Act, strictly interpreting this definition clause. So they are not recognized by this Act. So the system that was very primitive, like that you have seen in the old American films, at one point of time, Africa and sub-Saharan Africa, the load of the humans were being brought to the US as the slaves. And the slaves rebellion has made the America what it is today, a democratic country. Because they could liberate. But there is a little question mark also. That the system that we have adopted itself requires quote unquote bonded laborers, quasi slaves. And that is why in 1917, there was a movement in Paris which called "Don't Turn Us Modern Slaves." What happens in the corporate sector, young people enter into the corporate sector, starts for journey by morning 8:30, returns home at 10:30. After that, he goes to sleep. In the morning, wake up. Where is the question? Where is the human living? That all we are fighting for is the human dignity. Give them the space to grow up, enjoy the life as the human being. There are so many forms of this kind of a migration of labor. We call it immoral trafficking. And a particular section, whom we may call the wretched of the earth, nobody will opt for selling their body unless they are put to such an economic situation where there is none but to sell your body and dignity at the same time. But they are the target of the law. The most important thing that this issue is the tip of the iceberg, that the larger issues is, as Mr. Bagiza was also pointing out, is in the poverty, providing them the security in living a dignified life, which we have protected under Article 21. Unless that security is provided, I give you one extreme example from the state of Manipur. I was there just for some time. That Kerala State Legal Services Authority rescued 69 young children between the age of 16 and 18 years. I remember Justice Ramkumar was there at the time of the chairperson of the State Legal Services Committee. They are brought back to Manipur. Welcome state. And what happened thereafter? We'll take charge of the children. Families are unable to take their care. We had to negotiate with the government for about 15 days. And because we are the judge of the High Court, the government has certain difficulties with us. They agreed to open a home for them for providing all sort of this education, health, and food for their bringing up. But where is the permanent institution? I call myself. This is one issue out of the poverty. These children was recycled with the consent of the family to a plantations of Kerala where these soft scents are required. Second issue, you know the Manipur, there is a real problem of insurgency. Now by force, children between the age of 10 to 13 years, I'm giving the exact age, are recruited as the soldier for this militant outposts. When the Indian army carries out the operation with most sophisticated weapons, I call it the toy soldiers are put forward before the Indian armies. And if there is any attack from the Indian, this become a huge human rights issue. The children have been killed by this Indian army. But I salute our army. Not a single incident took place, despite this kind of opposition they faced from the insurgent. We are holding a meeting with all this non-governmental organization. And openly, I just appeal to these people, please release those children. I was in my official bungalow in Imphal. During the time after 6 in the evening, enter in Imphal is without any human being traveling through the roads, no sound of the crackling motor crates and other thing, nothing. It was a complete silence, and night falls at 6 during that time. I was in my official residence. 7 to 8 people came to my residence. And my security officers told me, sir, don't meet them. I said, why I should not meet them? They did not tell much. I invited them in my drawing room. This is, sir, if we release, just quote unquote, if we release those children, whether would you rehabilitate them? I without knowing whatever I am promising to them, I say yes. And immediately in the next morning, I talked to the Director General of Police. He says, yes, we'll provide them. And gradually, within 6 months, all the children recycle to the society. We believe in that humanity. Everybody who is holding a gun and otherwise, we cannot change the society. Another incident, it is a matter of the public interest litigation. One girl, about 14 years of age, trafficked to Rajasthan in the name of a marriage. So the moment we got the information, I think during the pandemic days, Justice Qureshi and myself registered a public interest litigation, made the Rajasthan Commission for the Child Rights, National Commission for the Child Rights, the party. And it so happened, everybody so cooperative, acted very fast, police department and other. This girl was rescued, taken back to his own village, but family completely denied, we will not take back that girl. Yes, sir. This is the situation every day those are working in the field level are facing. And it was really, really good because he's at 13 years of age. So the first days, she was kept in a safe home for a month or so. Thereafter, I sent 2 of my best PLVs, paralegal volunteers, to the residence of the girl. That if you provide you rupees 3,000 per month, you just mark this amount. Would you take your daughter back? You say, give us 24 hours time. After 24 hours, they informed us that yes, we are ready to take her back. So I talked to the social welfare department. They agreed to give that sponsorship. So the girl was recycled, integrated to his family. I asked then myself, we'll take care of these individual cases. We are in our conference, we are spending time discussing over the issues as relating to the policies. Definitely it is a big issue. As I started with my speech, that we need to look back about the definition of the migrant worker now. Because the Sardars and Khatadars are no more very active, but they are now have the centers in the metropolis for the construction sites. And the migrant workers just travel to those centers themselves. So they are, doesn't come within the migrant workmen under this Act of 1979. As you are working with them, I just appeal to you, please advocate, keeping into mind this the change in the labor practice and the spectrum of the labor migration in the country, so that they can be included within the benefits of this act. And for that, the first step should be there, a registration center, that we know where they are going, where they are staying, what about their safe housing and everything. The issues are very complex, and I personally believe that what we are doing has an important role. And everywhere I tell a story, now I repeat it. Someone of you also aware of this kind of story because you are all from the coastal state. This story is international. That in one morning, one very wise man, scholar, is a very respected scholar in our society, was taking a stroll over the shore of a sea, just sea, a very big sea. Then he was seeing one fisherman. He was going to the sea and throwing something in the sea. So he was very keen to know what he is doing. He stepped forward. He saw the small turtlelings which are coming from the seas with the waves and stuck up in the shore, cannot go back with the waves. And with the sun rising, they will immediately die. So the fisherman, with a loincloth in wearing, what he was doing, he was taking the handful of few numbers of these turtlelings and throwing in the sea. The scholarly man told him, "You are a great fool I have seen in my life. How many of them you can save?" The answer that fisherman given, it gives the reason directory for our doing the great works. And whatever I do in the individual capacity, he said, "Sir, I cannot save all the turtlelings, but I can save few of them. And I'm making a change in their life. They'll go back to the sea. They will live their life. That much we can do. Wherever in our neighborhood something happens, if we cannot make a big change, let us make the small changes." Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, my lord, for that enlightening and illuminating address. Coming to the end of this inaugural session, I would now like to request Shri Badri Narayan Nanda, esteemed Director in Charge, Orissa Judicial Academy, to kindly present the vote of thanks.
Namaskar. We are here as part of this colloquium organized by Odisha Judicial Academy in association with the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, and our collaborators, International Justice Mission. I am deeply fortunate to have got this opportunity to propose vote of thanks at the end of this inaugural session. At the outset, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Mr. Justice Subhasis Talapatra, Chief Justice, High Court of Orissa, and the Patron-in-Chief of Odisha Judicial Academy, who has been the guiding force behind many programs at Judicial Academy. He has always been a friend, philosopher, and a guide to us. Lordship, we are deeply obliged to you for your kind guidance and your presence today and the wonderful words of wisdom that you spoke here. Thank you, my lord. I am also deeply privileged to extend my vote of thanks to Honorable Dr. Justice S.K. Panigrahi, Judge, High Court of Orissa, and member, Odisha Judicial Academy and Training Committee, for his lordship's valuable time being spared amongst us and for giving the inaugural welcome address. Thank you, my lord. I am deeply privileged to have got this opportunity to extend my vote of thanks to all the honorable judges of the High Court of Orissa who are present here, despite their busy schedule, it being a holiday for them. Thank you, my lords, for your kind presence and encouragement to all of us. And your presence will mean a lot for this colloquium to be a successful one. Thank you. I am also privileged to extend my vote of thanks to Honorable Dr. Justice D.P. Chaudhary, former Judge, High Court of Orissa, and one resource person for the colloquium today for his presence here. Thank you, my lord. I am also privileged to extend my vote of thanks to all the honorable judges of the High Court of Orissa who have joined us online through virtual mode in this program. One of our most important training partners in this program is IJM. On behalf of Odisha Judicial Academy, I take this opportunity to extend my vote of thanks to Mr. Daniel Varghese, the Vice President of IJM for South Asia Pacific, all the office bearers of IJM, and all the staff of IJM who are present here, who are not even present here, but I've extended all the fullest support to us for organizing this program. Thank you, sir. Thank you all the respected officers of IJM. This program is, I say this, the first session is a successful one only because of the presence of the esteemed galaxy of participants. They include the district judges, cadre officers, the officers in the cadre of senior civil judge junior division, the public prosecutors, the police officers from across the state working in the crime against women and children wing of the government of Odisha, the trainee judicial officers of 2021 batch, and all the officers of the state of Odisha in judiciary who are watching this program through YouTube live channel of the High Court of Orissa. I thank all of you for being a wonderful participant in this session, and I hope and expect that you will be a very, interactive participant in the next training sessions and next technical sessions to come. We are deeply fortunate to have support from the Registry of the High Court of Orissa. I take this opportunity to extend my vote of thanks to respected Registrar General, sir, and all the respected officers of the registry for all their support they have extended to us. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Program of this magnitude cannot be possible without the help and assistance of many people. I may not be able to name all of them, but I take this opportunity to extend my vote of thanks to each and every person who has helped us in any manner whatsoever in organizing this program. I am also thankful to the friends from the print and electronic media for their presence today. I am sure that they will cover this program in the next editions for wide awareness. Last but not the least, I thank my team at Judicial Academy, my Deputy Director, my Assistant Director, and all the staff of OJ for the untiring support, untiring work they have done. And at the end, I thank all of you for being magnificent today. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
With that gratitude being expressed, we now come to an end of the inaugural session of today's Judicial Colloquium on Human Trafficking. May I now seek permission of the Honorable Chair to declare the inaugural session closed? Thank you, my Lord. The inaugural session is now declared closed. May I now request all the dignitaries and guests to kindly assemble at the Academy's portico for the group photo session. I also request everyone to kindly join for tea. We shall reassemble here sharp at 11:15 a.m. for commencement of the first technical session. Thank you. Namaskar.